Hello and welcome to my channel, or welcome back. I'm so excited to share this interview that I did with my good friend Angel and her journey to selling her first $100,000 on Etsy and how she was eventually able to quit her full-time teaching job. So definitely make sure to stay all the way until the end for this great interview because Angel gives amazing actionable tips of how you can replicate this for yourself. So get a pencil and a paper and stay tuned, but let's go ahead and say hello to Angel. Hello, Angel. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you so much for having me, Cass. I am so excited to be here. I am a huge, huge fan of your channel. You have some of the most valuable print-on-demand content on the internet anywhere. And it's been just a huge inspiration for my own channel. So thank you for having me.
Oh my gosh, you are too sweet, Angel. Well, your story is just as inspiring. And I know you just started your own YouTube channel. So I will link Angel's YouTube channel down in the description because she is about to bring some great, valuable content to you as well. So I know when I first started, I just could not get enough of the print-on-demand content on YouTube. So there's always room for more. Definitely go check out Angel's channel and subscribe to help her get started off on the right foot. But in this interview, we're going to kind of dive deep into Angel's story of how she went from starting a print-on-demand business as a full-time teacher to now she has quit her full-time job and gets to stay home with her two babies and do print-on-demand full-time. So I think your story is just so inspiring, Angel.
I'm ready to get started. I'm excited.
Okay, awesome. Well, let's kind of start from the beginning because I know that a lot of people starting print on demand don't really know exactly where to get started and they're worried about if it won't work out. And the first few months feel super overwhelming. So I'd love to give people an idea of what that really looks like in the beginning for you and kind of that journey from starting to actually getting to the point of quitting your job. Because I know saying that all in one sentence sounds really simple, but there was a lot that obviously went into that and becoming really successful doing this. And I think your story is super inspiring that even if you are working full time and have kids and have a husband, have a life, you can do this on the side part-time and eventually make it happen. So why don't you just start us from the beginning? When and why did you really get started with print on demand?
So in January of 2020, I decided I wanted to open an Etsy shop, and I really just wanted to add a revenue stream to our family. I was a teacher at the time. I had an 18-month-old daughter, and we, had money to live, but it was very much like it felt like we were just getting by, and I really wanted to not feel that way. So I really wanted to just add another revenue stream to our family, and so I had the idea of making 𝗗𝗑𝗧 earrings, and so I was online, researching Etsy and making an Etsy shop, and at first I was really discouraged because I ran across the statistics that the average Etsy seller only makes $100 a year. It was like 65% Etsy sellers. And so I was really just like discouraged, but I was like, you know what? It doesn't matter. It's just going to be an extra revenue stream. I'm going to do this. And I happened upon a video whenever I was looking up different ways to make jewelry about print on demand. And I looked into it and was like, wow, this is like a legitimate business model that I could do in my free time, while my daughter is napping or on the weekends or during a lunch break if I wanted, that I could possibly scale, anytime in the gaps in my time, in my free time. And so I just launched a shop, and my first listing was a t-shirt that said best aunt ever, and it bombed. No one saw it because I didn't know anything about how to design, how to research, how to apply trends to designs, things like that as you go along you learn. And so that was basically how I started, and my goal was just to have 50 sales that first year.
Wow. And then you obviously crushed that goal, that way out of the water. So that's really cool. So I think the first kind of takeaway is it sounds like you watched a video about print on demand and you just literally got started right away before you learned everything, right?
Yes, I just scoured YouTube for how-to videos, like how to start your shop, how to connect to Printify, how to do all of that. I just watched YouTube video after YouTube video.
Yeah, I think I was exactly the same way, but I think that's an important lesson because a lot of people that I see on my YouTube channel are like, well, I need to learn everything before I get started. But I think that you can't learn everything before you get started. There's just too much. A lot of it you really need to learn by repetition. and you can't learn so much all at one time. It's like, trying to drink from a fire hose. You have to kind of get started, make some mistakes, learn as you go. So if anybody's sitting here watching this and hasn't gotten started yet, I think that's a super important takeaway from Angel, that you should just get started. And I do have a free startup guide in the link below that kind of walks you through those steps, so you don't have to scour the whole internet like Angel did. So then let's talk about, how long did it take you to actually get your first sale?
So my first sale was actually my mother-in-law, because I was so excited. I launched my shop. And by the way, when I say launched my shop, all I had was, I created like a logo and a banner, and I had one listing, so it wasn't like I had all these products and, did all this, work and then launched it, because no one's waiting for you to launch your shop. All you need is one listing, guys. Like that's all you need to get started. And so I just had my first listing. It was a baby bodysuit that you could customize. And I was really scared about the whole process. I didn't know what the product quality was like, what happens when you get an order. And so to kind of break that ice, I just asked my mother-in-law to purchase from me so that I could go through that process, so I wasn't so worried when I got that first order.
That's awesome. And how funny that my very first sale was from my mother-in-law. So apparently that's the way to go, guys. Get your mother-in-law to be your first sale, and you'll be successful and be able to quit your job. That's the formula, because we have that in common, which is really funny. So that was really nice. And so hopefully that gave you some more peace of mind of how the whole process works, which it is super simple. Again, it's not so intimidating, guys. It feels like that in the beginning. But again, once you get your first sale, Printify and Etsy just connect and do it automatically for you. So it can be so simple. So try not to overthink that piece of it. But then after getting your first sale from your mother-in-law, when did you get your first organic sale from a stranger, which I know is so exciting for me when that happened for the first time?
It was probably about a week later that I got my first organic sale. It was in the morning. I was getting ready for work for my teaching job, and like my phone went, ding, cha-ching, and I was just like over the moon. Like, oh my goodness, this worked. I got a sale. I can't believe this. A stranger came and bought something from me. So that was really exciting.
No, that is super exciting. I think that first milestone is so cool. Sometimes it takes a week, sometimes it takes a month. Everybody learns at a different pace and gets into the right niche or the wrong niche. There's a lot to learn in the beginning, but I think there's no better feeling in the world than getting your first bit of success with print on demand. So you're like, wow, like I can do this. I have a new income stream that's not my teaching job, which I know is kind of your main goal. So then why don't you walk us through what the next few months really looked like? How much time were you putting into this? How many listings were you doing? And how did the sales start to scale after getting that first sale?
So I was so determined that this was my ticket out of my 9 to 5, my toxic 9 to 5, that I actually played hooky from work one day. And I sat in an urban McDonald's, which is like, the drama is hysterical. That you can see at McDonald's is interesting. And I sat there and I just spent the whole day setting up my shop, getting ideas, going through Etsy and seeing what was trending, what were people actually searching for, what were they buying, so that it could inspire my own work. And honestly, it really took my shop, I would say, about 100 listings before I started to see some consistent sales. And in fact, I actually got really discouraged in the beginning because I wasn't getting many sales or many views. And I switched over to doing digital for a little bit. I was doing digital birth announcements because I was just like, well, I can't do this. This isn't going to work for me. I'm not good at this. And so I tried that, and I did have some success in the digital market, but I just knew I really wanted to do print on demand, and that there was just a lot of opportunity there. And I just spent every free moment I had. It was really the design app that I had. You could design on your phone, and if I was waiting for a doctor's appointment, if I was, I was out with a friend and I was waiting for them to arrive for dinner, whatever it was, if I had a free moment, I was on my design app trying to design, different types of items for Etsy. In fact, I also cut out social media, and I replaced my social media apps with my design apps to help retrain my brain, because I found I was spending so much time on social media, and that was just one thing I could easily give up so that I had time to grow my business.
Wow. Yeah, no, that's super smart. I love that idea of putting it exactly where your social media apps were, because it's crazy. Sometimes you get so addicted to doing those things where you just have a free 3 seconds in between, a new show turning on or something. You don't even know what that you're doing it. You pick up your phone and you go to Facebook or something, and you're like,
Yeah.
oh, I didn't even realize I was doing that. It was autopilot. So I love that like psychology that you did to play on yourself, that you need to make that a new part of your daily habits, and that's who you are and what you're going to be doing. I love that. Excuse me. So then you said around 100 listings is when you started to get more consistent sales. What did you learn in those first 100 listings that you think really started to make the difference for you?
How to fill gaps in the market, how to take what people are searching for, what's trending, and then apply something new to it, to gain traction and to get sales. Being able to add new value is really important. I know that a lot of people get discouraged when they learn more about print and demand, because they think that they can't make profit or they can't compete. It's too saturated. And the reality is that people who come to Etsy to shop, they're not looking for the cheapest item. If they were, they would have started at Amazon, or they would have started at Walmart. They're coming for unique items. And it's our job to provide those unique items to them. And if you're doing that, you don't have to worry about competing with people who are selling shirts for half the price, because you're providing that new value to the market.
No, I think that's exactly true. I think it took me a long time to learn that as well. I think in the beginning, you accidentally take a little bit too much inspiration from what other people are doing. And that's a really common mistake. If you make a design that looks really similar to someone else's, but like just different enough, then why would someone buy from you instead of those people? So doing something completely different that's going to stand out, but you're kind of taking the proven information. Like, I know this niche is popular. I know people are buying this item on Etsy right now. I just need to bring some new value to this, is exactly the formula that I've used to build my business. But I think while all that sounds great, do you have any kind of actionable advice that you'd give to our viewers of how they could do that, or ways that you found ways to be unique?
It's important to just take time to research. Because the more you research and the more you list, and the more you gather that data. Okay, so the data part is really important. I love research. Research just like lights me up. Like whenever I'm on Etsy and I'm researching trends, I just get so many ideas. And it's one of those things where the rich get richer kind of thing, where the more you learn about print demand, the more that you list, the more that you create, the more ideas that you get, the better that you get at it. Because my first 100 listings bombed. I mean, for the most part, they really bombed. They weren't great. And when I look back at them, I think only like 1 or 2 of them even still exist, because I just didn't know how to add new value to the market. I didn't know how to create new things that people were looking for. I just didn't understand that. And a lot of that came with experience. And so, for example, if I wanted to create a shirt for Etsy, and I was like, okay, I don't know what to create, today, what should I do? I would go onto Etsy and I would look to see what are people actually buying in shirts. And maybe it's, I noticed that birthday shirts are trending. And then I would look to see, okay, well, what types of styles are people buying right now just in women's shirts? Is it graphics? Is it vintage? Is it retro? Is it, what is it? And then I would take that design style, that trend, and apply it to a sub niche. Okay. So now, okay, birthday is great, but which type of birthday? Is it a 30th birthday? Is it a 30th birthday retro? Is it a specific party? Popular party. So there's just so many ways to approach it. And now it's like I have so many ideas of what I want to create for Etsy at any given moment. I don't even have enough time to act on them. And so it's just so important to just get onto Etsy, see what's trending, and see how can you add new value to what's trending.
I love that. I think, what Angel's really talking about is niching down. So that's when you take a bigger niche, like birthdays is a niche. So that could be like vintage 1992 or something like that is what the shirt would say. Or, happy birthday shirt, for instance. And then you make it more specific, because the more specific you can get, a lot of times the more sales you'll get. So mixing birthdays with a holiday. So maybe somebody's birthday is on St. Patrick's Day. So you make a St. Patrick's Day birthday shirt or something really specific. And that you can stand out really well in the marketplace because there's not as much saturation, right? There's not as many people making designs for that. And like Angel said, when people are coming to Etsy, they're looking for that unique item that Walmart can't sell, Target can't sell because there's not enough people. But with print on demand, we really have the luxury of being able to make designs for those smaller sub niches of people. And I know that's where I've made a lot of my money. So, you don't always have to make exactly the design that you see someone selling on Etsy. I think taking inspiration from that and seeing where else you can go with it, but people are searching for it, is a great way to kind of stand out and get some of those first few sales. So super, super valuable advice, Angel. I hope all of you are writing this stuff down and taking notes because this is gold, what Angel is going through right now. So then take us through what it started to look like when you really started to gain traction. When did you think, this is it, this is really happening? When was kind of that turning point for you?
It was definitely my first fourth quarter. When I started getting into more like group niches. I was selling like family Christmas shirts. And I had entered a trend that was new. And so it was very high searched, low competition. And it went crazy. I had my first 30K revenue month, which was just like mind blowing to me. I'm like, wait, what? I mean, I remember sitting at work one day and my phone's like going ting, again and again. And I made my first day where I actually made almost double what I had made at work that day, sitting there all day. Meanwhile, I'm making all this money that like someone else is printing and shipping this for me. So it's automated, It was just like, oh my goodness, like this is a reality. I can make a living out of this. And so it was really exciting.
Wow, 30 grand revenue in 1 month. That's so impressive. And for everybody at home, do you know about what percentage of that was profit for you? I know for me, it's typically 25, 30%.
Yes, it was probably 35 to 40% for me just because of the niche it was in. It was the group shirts. And so for those of you who aren't familiar with Etsy and print on demand, if you get into group niches, it's really profitable because basically you're able to increase your profit margin because after that first shirt, so if someone orders 10 shirts or 20 shirts, for example, after that first shirt, your profit margin increases because they're still paying the same amount for shipping and you're getting to keep that profit. Okay. If that makes sense. Can you explain that better, Cass?
So if they buy one shirt, let's say shipping is $4.75. But if they buy two shirts, the first shirt's $4.75 for shipping, and the second shirt is $2.40 for shipping. So if you have the customer say pay $25 for each shirt, that first shirt costs you more, but every shirt after that, the profit is higher because you get that discount on the shipping. And so if you sell, 10 or 20 shirts to one person, you make more profit than if you sold 10 or 20 shirts to 10 or 20 individual people. And so you do make more profit on those group sales than you would have if you were selling individual. So definitely a great, great tip from Angel that if you're not getting the sales that you want, it might be time to start looking into group shirts because then every one customer is buying 5, 10, 20 shirts from you instead of just one. And I think the other big benefit to that is when Etsy sees, wow, people are loving this so much, they're buying 20. I need to show this to everybody else because Etsy's here to make money too. And so they're going to show the listings that are getting tons of sales to more and more people because it's more likely to convert than someone's listing who's getting one sale a week.
No, that's so important. And that's why going back to that cross niching, concept, when you enter a niche that's high search but low competition, and someone finds you by typing in a long tail keyword, it could be super specific keywords, and then they find that and they purchase it. And then it increases your rankings. And then you start to rank for keywords that are more competitive. And then you get more sales. And then you rank for even more competitive. And I've been at, the top of ugly Christmas sweater. I've been at the top of Christmas sweater, that are super, super competitive. And it's not because I'm special. It's not because I have this amazing design skills. It's because I was able to enter a high searched, low competition niche, and was able to provide new value in that niche.
And just to give everybody a random example, because I want to make sure that this makes a ton of sense, because Angel's giving really actionable advice here. So I want to kind of paint a picture. Let's say you're looking through the search results of bestsellers for ugly Christmas sweaters. So the main niche is Christmas. And then maybe you see a funny avocado themed Christmas sweater. So that's a cross niche. You're niching avocados plus Christmas. And so that's just one random example, but especially for holidays, you really want to be crossing that holiday with something else that's really, really popular. And so then that's where you can find a lot of success, is mixing those two types of things together. And I'm assuming, Angel, your big niche wasn't avocado Christmas shirts, but there's so many different niches that you can do for Christmas and every holiday that will help you make a ton more sales.
And one of the things that's just so exciting about print on demand and Etsy is that there are constantly new trends. So don't ever feel like, oh, I missed a boat. I missed fourth quarter. I missed a boat. I have to wait around until next year. So not true. There are trends that emerge every day, every week, that are just, they're just constantly emerging. And there's just new opportunity every day on Etsy.
No, and that is so true. I feel like when you're first getting started, it's easy to spend an hour or two just looking for the right design to make. And I promise you, there's no just like one right design. I know that the way that I ended up being successful is I would go on Etsy, I'd look and find a bestseller, and I just started to take action. I'd find a bestseller, I'd make my own version or something for that same niche, and I would just list it and move on and find the next one. And if you can just get in the habit of just taking action quickly, you'll make so much more money, because when you're first getting started, you kind of want to go wide. You want to make a bunch of different types of niches and then see what sells and then make more of that and kind of build, deeper instead of wider. And then just keep doing that. Go wide, go deep, go wide, go deep. And that way you'll find those successful niches so much quicker. So I think that's, again, super, super good advice, Angel. So I think
there are so many tools now available to us that like we didn't have, that really helps, fast track that process too. Tools like Everbee. I don't know if there's any other specific tools that you use where you can like quickly find those things that before were hidden. And so there are lots of tools at your disposal now too.
Yeah, I love Everbee. I've been using Everbee for a little over a year now, and I really like it because it's built right into Chrome. And so it helps me do the manual way I did before, just faster. I've never been a huge fan of the types of tools where you have to go to some other separate website, because I ended up feeling like I got lost in it and I wasted a bunch of time looking at things that weren't relevant to what I was trying to do right now. Because again, the biggest moneymaker is you taking action quickly. And if you spend 3 hours researching on, say, like eRank or something, and you're not taking any action, then that's not really helping you. So, it sounds like you use Everbee now as well, which is a great tool. But what did you do? And do you have any advice if someone's not ready to use, a research tool like that? Do you have any kind of quick advice for how you were finding the profitable niches to design for when you first got started?
Everything you need is on Etsy, guys. Everything you need is on Etsy. So looking to see, search really broad, high competition keywords. Okay, like shirts for women, shirts for men. They're really broad, because if a shirt is ranking with those keywords because it's so competitive, they are selling those like hotcakes generally. And you can go on the listing and double check that by looking for the popular now badge, bestseller badge, 20 plus in the cart. And if that's selling, that means basically you're not doing that to copy that shirt. Okay, you're reverse engineering the search traffic. So that means a lot of people are looking for those keywords right now. So you better believe I'm going to put it in my shop as long as it's not trademarked.
Yeah. No, I think that's super, super good advice. And I really hope you guys are listening, because Angel was able to sell over 100K in revenue her first year on Etsy, which is absolutely crazy. How much did you do your first year in 2020, Angel?
I was over 100K. I think it was like 107,000 in revenue, which ended up being a little over 30,000 profit, which was like mind blowing to me my first year, because I was working full time with a family. And it was just like little thing that I did on the side. Realistically, I don't even think I even did it part-time because I just didn't have the time to. Some weeks I put in more time, other weeks it was less time. But I don't feel like I missed out on anything. I didn't have to miss birthday parties. I didn't have to miss, big things that if I had another part-time job to try and create that income stream, I would have missed out on so much, or I simply couldn't have done it. For example, I was a teacher. In order to have made another $30,000, which would have doubled my income, the only way I could have done that is if I would have quit teaching for a year, lost a year's worth of income, went into debt by going back and getting an administrator's license to be a principal, for example. It would have taken me 5 years to recoup $30,000. And I was able to do this in 1 year, in pockets of my time. So it's just an incredible opportunity. And there's just so many things you can do with it.
I think that's so inspiring, Angel, because I know my story is a little bit different. I got fired. And so I had 4 months at home to do this full time. And so, I feel really blessed that I had that time to be able to just pour all my time and all my energy into building this. But I don't think that is as relatable as your story, because most of the people watching this are working a full-time job and have kids and only have those small pockets of time. So I really hope this is so inspiring for everyone watching, because in just a few hours a week, you were able to build this really magical business that has changed your family's lives forever, which is just so crazy. So if you're sitting at home feeling like this isn't possible for you, you're never going to be able to make this work, I hope that this inspires you to just take action and be consistent and really just make it happen for yourself, because everybody's journey is going to look different. But I really think it's such a great opportunity for every single person. And I know eventually, Angel, you did quit your job. How long into doing print on demand were you able to quit teaching?
So I waited. I wasn't like, okay, I'm all in after a year. In some ways, I regret not doing that, because I think I left money on the table not doing that. But I was really careful. I carried my family's health insurance. Especially being a teacher, we have really good health insurance. And so we used to start off by paying off debt. I wanted to make sure all of our credit debt was paid off, our car loans, things like that, so that we could position ourselves for me to quit my job. We also just had a baby 8 months ago. And so I took a lot of time off from both Etsy and my other job to do that as well, without being stressed. And so it was so nice. Actually, I was still able to keep my Etsy shop running while I was in the hospital. I was getting sales and it was fine. So I didn't have to take like an official maternity leave, from my shop or anything like that. And so we just did it slowly over time. We just kept saving and paying off debt, and just positioning ourselves so that, we felt comfortable with me quitting my job.
Wow, yes, that is so inspiring. So now with your new little one, you've gotten to be home for so much more of his life than you would have if you were still working a full-time teaching job. And I think that's just really the goal for most people. I think most people that start doing Etsy and print on demand, you're not sitting here like, I want to make millions, right? Maybe some of you are sitting there and thinking that, but I think for most of us, we just want to buy our time back and our freedom back to be able to do what we want when we want on our own terms. And I think that's exactly what a print on demand and Etsy business is able to give you, even if you don't have a ton of startup costs, if you've never designed any before, if you've never started your own business before, because I think Angel and I are the same in that way. We weren't ever t-shirt designers. Like, I didn't even go to college. You went to college to be a teacher. That doesn't help a ton with an Etsy business, like nothing we had before we got started helped us be successful at this. It's all just trial and error and learning and believing that it's possible. And it really can be, which is just so magical. So thank you so much again for coming on my channel and teaching everybody all these great tips, Angel. Do you have any last minute really good advice or tips that you'd give to someone just getting started?
Yes, you can always start with whatever you're passionate about. If you enjoy playing pickleball, if you're a teacher, if you're a mom, whatever it is that you're passionate about, consider designing and listing in those niches.
Yeah, that's great advice, because if you're passionate about it, you probably know more of those sub niches to design for, different funny sayings that you'd like to see on shirts. And then you can really set yourself apart in the market because you're actually really passionate and understand that niche. So I think that's really great advice.
And a lot of people think that you need to have these amazing graphics and these amazing designs. There are Etsy shops that literally it's all text. So don't be afraid to experiment with different types of fonts and things like that. Once again, you don't have to be this amazing designer to be able to add new value to the market.
Yeah, I've always said simple sells. It doesn't
Yep.
have to be anything complicated, just like a nice, like text with a font, like a blocky text with a cursive font or something is always a winning combination. If you don't feel like you're a good designer, just put words on shirts. It can be that simple to get started for sure. Then Angel, why don't you tell our viewers here where to find you so they can follow along with your journey on your new channel?
Sure, I just started a brand new YouTube channel. It's called, you can find me at Passive Income Angel is the channel. I just did a brand new video all about using AI to help grow and scale your Etsy business. It's done really well. So if you're interested in that, be sure to check that out.
Thank you so much, Angel, for being here.